Hello, everybody. So yesterday, I finished up shadows by adding the shadow stuff to the meshes, basically the cast shadow and receive shadow. And today I updated the cameras. So now in the cameras we have a look at position, which gives us a lot of options that we didn't have before, which is kind of nice. And one thing I've always wanted to do is sort of emulate a eclipse on in software, and I think I finally got to do that, so that I can mark that off the bucket list. Um, so basically, I created something that's supposed to represent the sun. Now the scales are not very good, but basically the sun is sitting at 9.8, the moon is at -1, or -9.8 is for the sun, -1, and then the Earth is at 0. So there's that. And so then in the camera, we have the camera is sitting at 0, 0, 0. So and then right at -1. So if we compare that to the Earth, basically, it the camera's sitting on Earth. So right now we're kind of looking at what it would look like if the moon was directly between the sun and the Earth, and we were sitting on the Earth. And we have a light, and this is kind of cheating a little bit, but the light's sitting at -0.2. zero point 0.2. So the camera. So basically, what we can do now, since we have the camera looking at the moon um, at -1, because this used to just be like hard coded to 0, is we can move the Y position of the camera, so we can move it up. So like in this example, we are probably moving, like it's like we're sitting in an airplane above the like a jet, and we're looking. And so you see the sun over there. We're sitting at we see the kind of the curvature of the Earth here, and then you see the moon with just a slight little um, like a moon-shaped crescent. And that, I think that is what it would look like. Like I said, the scales here aren't right because the scales are so enormous that it would be hard to show it in the screen. But we can sort of play with it. So if we go 2, now the sun's not even on the screen, but you can kind of still see the effects of the sun. And then if we go up to, I believe it's 12, now you can barely see the moon there, blocking out the sun and all that. So let's go back down to 0, and there we are. So let me go like to 5. So we know, let's go to 5 on the Y. So we're moving up a little bit, and then we can say look at, instead of looking at -1 on the Z, let's look at -4. And so now we're looking sort of in the middle of space, and we can see everything again, but the Earth and the moon are way low down, and then on that. So then we could, so we're looking at -1. We could say look at the Earth. 0. So we're looking straight at the Earth, and then we could move the camera to like -5. So now we're looking at the Earth between the moon and the sun. Um, so there's just like a lot of options there. Let's see. So the Z. Oh, okay. So we're sitting at Y. So actually, that wasn't right. So yeah. So like if we were sitting in between the Earth and the sun, this is what we would see. We'd see like a little. The moon is white, but it looks yellow because the sun is yellow, yellowish red, and then that. Um, so that's all pretty cool. So like, yeah, here's like the sun, right? So if we look at the sun, it's got this color, and then like we could mess with its intensity so that now there is no sun, and now there is a sun. Um, and then, or we could change the colors and all that. But anyways, um, I think that's really cool. Oh, I forgot to hit play, so we're 5 minutes in. It's pretty fun. It was very, very straightforward. The only hard part about it actually was that early on, I kind of went a different direction on cameras. Like there was some sort of chaos in there, and cameras are different than everybody else because in the camera interface, I split up the orthographic camera from the perspective. So that actually might be interesting. Let's see what we get. So that's what that would look like in orthographic. And that's from the 0, 0 position, and that's um, the position on the z-axis. So that's behind the Earth. So let's go ahead and change that to 0. So that's what an eclipse looks like in an orthographic camera. So it's not very useful. Orthographic isn't very useful. But as you see, like I had to reset up my Y position and the lookouts and everything. Yeah, so let's go look at negative 1. Oh, no, that was the wrong one. 0. Let's look at negative 1. Yeah, so doesn't make a difference. But you notice I had to reset everything, whereas all the other things like the meshes, as you change mesh types and stuff like that, they persist. The data persists between those things. So, and I think that is way more useful. And maybe at some point it might be worth it to go back and sort of unify these two the way meshes are unified, but and then just have like a type orthographic or perspective and have everything in there. I don't know if it's worth it. And I think this is a really good example of like an interest-free tech debt loan, because it really won't get harder to do this, like to unify these in the future. I don't think there's going to be very many more attributes, and so the double work and all that is just, it's going to be super minor. If this was in meshes or in lights, we definitely would want to go back and fix this now, because meshes and lights are probably going to continue to grow. But this is not. I do not think. So it's really, I don't think, worth stopping the train and fixing that. But it does inform the heck out of lights. Like, so we know, and I think at this point it's proven out that this methodology of having a shape type and then having all the attributes, at least in this point, is definitely winning out over this methodology, because now we have double components to maintain, and this is just going to grow organically in a weird way as we keep adding things. But fortunately, I don't think we'll be adding things. So when we do start adding other types of lights, I think the obvious thing is to have a type like we have in meshes. Like we have the shape, and then I think lights have different types, and that's going to be pretty cool. So what did we change? So in the service is very, very standard. Basically, when we set up our defaults, we have to set that right. And since it's not added, so like the way the meshes and the lights work is you add them through the UI, but these are already there. So the defaults end up being in the service, not in the components. And then over here, we just had to add the lookat for both the orthographic and the perspective. And that was pretty straightforward. And then I already looked at those. In the toolbox, I moved camera to the front just for convenience. And the data view of the camera, just added the new fields, super simple. In the form of the camera, we just added the new fields. Again, just super simple, nothing to it. I think honestly, you could just kind of zombie your way through that, not really even have to understand it at all. Same with the form for the orthographic, and then for the perspective, same thing. HTML, uh, there's just like sort of like extra work because they probably should have just been combined. Um, and then in the perspective camera, we just add the new form. Just go ahead and grab the lookat, make sure that they are not it's not some weird character, that it's a number or zero, which is a number. We just make sure it's a number, and then we just on the effect when the data comes in, we update the data properly. And that's about it. Just a bit over 10 minutes, so that's cool. Next on the list is some animations. I think animations is going to be like a velocity killer. There's like getting animations right is going to be take a lot of understanding, and there's a lot of weird concepts in there, and it's more complicated than it's a very weirdly more complicated thing than if we were building like a like something like a C++ program or something like that, because the way that the screen is updated is is different, and the way you code this is very very different than the concepts that you have to understand are very different than I really anything I know of. In it's like very very exotic compared to everything else I know of in JavaScript. Um, it's like the way animations is done is very very unique. It's along the lines of like the way alert works. Like alert is a very unique thing in JavaScript. It's like the only thing that can stop the async cycle. Um, and animation is a very weird thing because like the way you have to code it is very very specific. You have to code it in a very very specific way, um, but then you want the timing and everything to be very very consistent. So I've never really met anybody that I thought really understood the like request animation frame and all those things very well. Most people I've never talked to anybody literally anyone I've known who's ever tried to like make music or do animations has been very very frustrated, because they try to use the request animation frame and they try to sort of rely on it to keep the timing right, and you have a whole nother layer. But anyways, so that is not in the next video. Happy coding. Bye.